Welcome to the Canadian Beef Cattle Podcast, presented by the Beef Cattle Research Council. The most popular content from beefresearch.ca, available on the go. Before we get into this week's episode, a quick message from the BCRC.
When you're comparing multiple feed options, price per ton doesn't tell the whole story. In this episode, we talk about a simple tool that helps you compare the nutrient value of different feeds against standard references like barley and canola meal, so you can make smarter buying decisions based on actual feed value. Use the tool in the show notes and take the guesswork out of feed purchasing. This episode is titled, Looking to Make the Most of Forage Quality?
Forage quality is an important factor to consider when feeding cattle. While this may seem obvious, maximizing forage quality is sometimes not the focus when management decisions are being made. Yet focusing on quality might enable producers to save costs by getting more out of the forage they have and reducing reliance on expensive concentrates and feed additives. Forage quality and the yield variations in a field depend on a variety of factors, including the stage of maturity of the forage, growing conditions, species composition within the field, and/or harvest timing decisions. Harvest considerations also include dry down time, or time laying in the windrow, which is impacted by chop length, the use of conditioners, and swath width behind the mower. Past harvest management also affects forage quality and is impacted by decisions such as whether to wrap bales in plastic or not and how baled forage is stored. Being aware of these range of factors allows producers to make pre-harvest, harvest, and storage decisions that can optimize forage quality. To maximize the use of available quality storage, an inventory and quality testing system should be implemented. Note should be taken on fields, which include information such as plant species, maturity at cutting, and age of field. This will allow baled forage to be grouped together based on the same cutting timing, first, second, third, or fourth cut. Forage that was cut and or baled at a similar time, or that has a similar forage composition. In addition, feed should be stored to allow access to any group at any time, taking into consideration facilities and limitation. Forage quality testing each feed group provides a better understanding of what quality feed is on farm and whether supplies are adequate to meet the herd's requirement for the year. Early assessment allows time to plan for shortfalls in yield or quality. Testing can begin once stored forage has stabilized, prior to the sale or purchase of forage, or prior to feeding out to animals. Ensure samples are sent to a lab to allow enough time to get results back so they can inform ration decisions. Once forage quality test results are received, they can be provided to a nutritionist, or producers can use BCRC's Feed Value Estimator tool to identify how well the tested forage will meet the requirements of different classes of cattle in their herd and their production demands. With this information, producers can better match their forage groups to the production cycle of their animals and more accurately identify the amount of concentrates and feed additives required to meet nutritional needs not fulfilled by forages in the ration. The following producers have found a way to optimize their feed harvest, inventory, and storage in order to place priority on feed testing and ration development. Andrew McLennan and Krista McGilvray of Kintail Farms run a beef and sheep operation near Brook Village, Nova Scotia. By focusing their forage quality and feed management, Kintail Farms has grown from 4 cows and 50 to 60 ewes a few years ago to currently 25 cows and 200 ewes. Some of the changes implemented including harvesting as close as possible to plant boot stage to target higher quality forage, and the creation of an inventory and quality testing system for their feed. A tower silo is used to store the highest quality forage, while the remaining forages are turned into baleage, chop silage, and dry hay. Wrap forages are stored to allow for ease of access as well as grouped together based on when they were harvested and their forage composition. These groups are stored separate from one another to ensure that mixing of different groups does not happen and to reduce the risk of confusion when pulling from different feeds when creating rations. They test all of their forage to determine feed quality and then use this information to build rations for their herd, taking into account the production cycle of the animals. By pulling from their different on-farm produced feed quality groups, they can reduce the reliance on off-farm feed sources and supplements. The forages are supplemented by soybean meal and occasionally whole barley or whole corn, depending on the needs and market prices. However, they've been able to reduce the amounts of supplements necessary to meet nutritional demands. The changes to their cutting and forage management system have allowed them to reduce the amount of time it takes for their calves to reach slaughter weight by 3 to 5 months for the direct-to-consumer market. This has greatly reduced feed and management costs. Brad and Christy Gilchrist of Gilchrist Farms near Lucknow, Ontario, run a cash crop and purebred Angus cow-calf operation, as well as a winter bull development center. Their focus on feed management is highlighted by many different feed options produced on-farm, which are grown to target specific quality needs and provide a range of options when making rations for their herd. All feed is tested for nutritional quality, and each forage is identified, inventoried, and stored separately. Gilchrist Farms utilizes pasture, haylage, wrapped dry hay, corn silage stored in bunker silos, and other feed ingredients from on-farm and off-farm sources. Some forage fields are managed specifically to target higher protein requirements of their more nutritionally demanding animals, such as the bulls at the development center, and are cut based on stage of maturity. Other fields are cut to target yield with this feed used for animals with lower nutritional needs. Feed storage is important as well, with all feed being either wrapped, placed in bunker silos, or stored inside to maintain quality. They maintain a close working relationship with their feed sales representative and an animal nutritionist. The herd is split into different groups based on production type, with diets created to cater to specific nutritional needs in each phase of production. Rations are modified further based on animal performance and changes in air temperature throughout the year. Their bulls are weighed every 28 days with daily and average gains tracked to ensure animals are meeting targets. At Gilchrist Farms, on-farm production of feed and intensive management of diets allows them to have greater control of their herd's diets and allows them to maintain production targets while reducing costs.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. You can find all relevant links and information at beefresearch.ca or in the show notes. The Beef Cattle Research Council is funded by the Canadian Beef Cattle Checkoff and strives for excellence in the production of Canadian beef, cattle, and forage through research, innovation, and extension. Tune in every Tuesday as the Canadian Beef Cattle Podcast delivers straightforward insights, expert information, and a wealth of practical knowledge for Canadian beef producers. Subscribe now.